everyone, and welcome back to Raining Souls ASMR. Tonight, we are going to be drawing some Bloodborne style Pokemon. One side is bright and colorful, the other dark and grotesque. So what will Pokemon such as Ponyta look like in the Bloodborne universe? Let's find out together. Okay, let's start designing and drawing some Bloodborne style Pokemon. We're going to be drawing on the iPad with an Apple Pencil. The iPad does have a protective screen on it that sounds like paper. Sketching paper. I'll let you hear that sketchy sound. Now, I know you're thinking that this definitely looks like something straight out of Bloodborne, but this is just a random doodle to make sure my pencil and pen are working correctly. So let's just quickly erase this and get designing our first Pokemon variant from the Bloodborne world. And I'm not going to tell you right away what Pokemon and what Bloodborne boss it is based on. I think it would be fun for you to try and guess both the Pokemon and the boss. I am using an ink style brush. This one is called G-Pen. It's mainly used, or it's trying to imitate, a manga inking style feel. It does have a very thick and thin brush stroke, depending on how hard you press on the screen. I like to zoom in pretty close to make sure I get all the details I'm looking for. I also like to move the page around and get the best angle to do a brush stroke. Now I have sketched out all of these designs beforehand. There is a very, very, very light pencil layer underneath. I thought we would get straight to the inking. It's more fun to guess that way. You might be able to guess this one already. It's got a fairly unique and recognizable design. But can you guess what boss it is yet? I am trying to mimic the Pokemon and Bloodborne style. It's a little bit harder than you think. Pokemon is very basic shapes, simple outline, and Bloodborne is much more detailed. So trying to get the two sides to agree with each other and to look somewhat appealing is the hard part, but also fun. Like this part I just did, I don't like one bit. So we'll just take it out. Here's a good example. This part here is a bit more detailed shading on the hair. Looks more Bloodborne. And this here, a bit more Pokemon style. Simple, 4 lines. Deep, dark, sketching lines. And it's going to be a bit tricky to try and balance both of those so it resembles Pokemon and Bloodborne at the same time. We don't want it to look too much like Bloodborne, or then it's just going to look like a fleshy monstrosity and not resemble Pokemon at all. But we also don't want it to look too much like Pokemon and lose the uniqueness of the Bloodborne style. So just sit back and relax, and you let me know if I was able to pull this off. Now those are looking like some Bloodborne style teeth. Let's get some nice inking sketch sounds. It's more of a tapping sound. you who know Bloodborne probably can already guess who this Ponyta is based off of. I thought it was very appropriate. A very appropriate combo. And to finish off the head, a nice snout, nostril. There's gotta be a nice balance between too much shading and not enough. Let's add one big piece of shading detail. It does make the hair look like it's flopping down around the horn and around the ear. We're not going to worry too much about the shading anymore. Let's just flow with whatever feels natural. And now, the first leg and hoof of this Ponyta. Hopefully you can already guess that it's a Ponyta. I didn't just spoil it. Just a little bit more detail to resemble more Bloodborne. This boss does have a lot of what looks to be fur just scattered all over his body in very odd places. So I'm trying to replicate that look. Sort of looks like fire. Coming off this Ponyta's arm. But it's not fire, it's grotesque fur. Actually, this is looking pretty Bloodborne already. We could just leave it like that. We'll add some shading in the back leg. shading to this back leg. And maybe add a nice bit of highlight or some light from behind would hit the back of the leg. Not too big. The last leg of this ponyta add a bit of sketchy cross-hatching. We're not going for pristine, super detailed or super clean art. Just a nice sketchy inking. Very calming. And now, back. And the tail. Swooshing up. Swooshing up. And the ponyta's mane. It's a bit scraggly and scruffy. It's not fire, it's bluish, dark hair. Tangled up, but still not too bad, not too tangled. And there is a very grotesque Bloodborne style second mouth right here. Now hopefully you've guessed already which boss this ponyta is based on from Bloodborne. It is Ludwig. Ludwig from the Old Hunters DLC. And Ludwig does have this weird style mouth on the side of basically his shoulder. We're still going to make it look somewhat Pokemon related, so not too much detail on the mouth. Some sharp teeth. And there's your grotesque teeth. Ponyta, I'm sorry. We're gonna lower the line width a bit and go inside because the teeth continue down into basically a hole or mouth. It's not too pretty. And maybe just the outline of a bit more that go even further down. And there is the finished line work for our Bloodborne Ponyta. We will call this version Ponywig. And let's add just a little bit more shading. Some nice darker tones. I'll probably continue this one for the thumbnail. Make it maybe a full art. Add some color. Some better shading. So it pops just a little bit more. This is just a quick little line art sketch. Some thicker and thinner lines always help to make a more dynamic piece. Some blood. Coming out of his mouth. Bit more shading back here. And this would be a bit darker in here. Let's see what adding some shading will do. I'm only using black here. If I wanted to make this a bit more dynamic, I would use a softer, lighter tone. But we're kind of going for a manga ink style here. Sometimes it doesn't really matter if you go outside the lines, especially with what type of look you're going for, and Bloodborne is definitely all over the place in terms of its messy, grotesque, gothic style. So going outside the lines might actually benefit you more in terms of getting the right look. But if you're just drawing Pokemon, no Bloodborne style, staying in the lines is is essential for that style of art. Because Pokemon is all about basic shapes and thicker lines. Maybe add some blood here. I've kind of stopped caring about making it look like a Pokemon now. I'm all in on the Bloodborne style. Probably be just a little bit of blood coming down here. Can add a bit of shade or shadow or line to one side of the teeth to indicate where light is coming from if you're just using your ink. We'll add a little bit more shading to other places to match the tone of the shading I just did. Let's have this go all the way up. Nope. I didn't like that. Maybe here. No. Not feeling that. Maybe some lighter lines. It's a little bit awkward to film with a camera in front of my face while I'm trying to draw. It's hard to get the angle of my hand on the tablet in a natural drawing position. Feels a little bit odd. So this is not how my hand is usually situated when I'm drawing. If someone else out there who sees this video can let me know how they usually film, or if they have experience filming themselves drawing, if they can let me know if there's an easier position or more natural feeling position where I could place the camera while I'm drawing, so you could see everything and my hand is in a more natural drawing position. That'd be great. My wife, Rainessa, has done a few drawing videos before as well, and she also has the same problem. Ludwig's hair is very scraggly and loose and all over the place. But Ponyta's is more graceful and deliberate, so I'm trying to get a good balance where it doesn't feel too much like Ludwig and doesn't feel too much like Ponyta. Gotta get a good balance. Just add just a little bit of shading here so it matches the other hoof and leg. would be going this way, this way. So maybe just a little bit of shadow on this side of the foot, leg, however you call a horse's legs. Add just a bit of cross-hatching right here. The sun definitely would not be hitting this part of the body. Maybe add some cross-hatching to match. And just to match the shading structure of the cross-hatching I just added, we'll also make this shadow a cross-hatching shadow. And here is the finished line work for Ponywig. Okay, let's get started on our second Bloodborne style Pokemon. It's got two eyes and a roundish style face. Sort of a cute, happy, creepy mouth. And we'll give it some sort of vampire-esque fangs. It's got some furry ears. When I was thinking about what type this is, I believe it's dark and electric, so it's dual type. That might be a pretty big hint about what boss this is. And the Pokemon it's based on, or the variant it is, very popular Pokemon. My wife's favorite Pokemon. If you know Reina's channel and you know her personality, you probably already know what that is. Some big strokes. Pokemon have very simply shaped faces, and I find that simple shapes, while also being dynamic and appealing, is very hard to get if you're doing faces. The face is basically a circle, two circles and a triangle. You would think that that is easy to do, but sometimes the simpler the face, the harder it is to draw and get exactly right. Like ugly faces have more lines to them, so you can add more detail. The more lines there are, the sort of easier it is to get and convey I have no idea if I explained that correctly, but hopefully you understand my meaning. It's got sort of a mane of fur all the way around its head, sort of looking like an evil sunflower. There will also be some sparks of lightning coming out of its body. Let's do a little bit of shading in its mouth. You know what? We're going to do that the opposite way. So it looks like it's screaming very loudly. So you get the idea or illusion of where its tongue is without having to define exactly where it is. I think you could probably already guess what Pokemon this is. It does have a very unique face and expression. You might not be able to tell the Bloodborne boss. The Bloodborne boss, as most Bloodborne bosses do, have their skeleton or spinal cord shown. So this Pokemon will also have it. Sort of morphs together at the base here. Just add a little bit of bone structure. Maybe up here it's more combined add a little bit of under shading. And then this right here is its front leg. Now I will say that the Bloodborne boss this is based off is definitely skinnier. Definitely skinnier hands. But the Pokemon it is based on is much more fluffy. So I'm trying to combine both looks. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what it is. So hopefully you have a guess and hopefully it looks like both of them. This is an evolution. A Bloodborne evolution. Based on the very skinny lightning beast in Bloodborne that's basically a skeleton of what looks to be some sort of dog or wolf or fox. The boss is called Dark Beast Parl or Lauren Dark Beast. I believe that's the one in the Chalice Dungeon of Bloodborne. Hopefully you were able to guess that, and if not, let me know what you would change to more effectively look like both an Eevee and a Dark Beast Parl. This is where the Eevee's belly is, but I'm gonna put the continuation of the spinal cord here. Sort of goes into her fur. And around like that. Add some more of the bone shading. This one is definitely looking a bit more cutesy than the Ponyta. I couldn't really make my wife's favorite Pokemon super grotesque. She'd probably divorce me. No, I do not like that shading at all. We're gonna go maybe very full dark, full back leg that would be hidden in some shadow. Let's see what that looks like. Too big of a foot. It clashed with this one. It made it look like this was the front leg, or the one closer to us. You gotta remember the foreshortening further away smaller it is. Also going to erase this piece of fur, just looking too big. And we'll add some cross-hatching the further down the foot it is. And the final aspect of this evolution from Yarnum is the tail. Dark Beast Barl does have a very big, fluffy tail. Very fluffy tail. Just add a little bit of fur. Not as much shading as the ponyta. Now, there are a few names we could possibly give this evolution. There's Dark Eon, Beast Eon, or maybe Barleon. You let me know if you have a better name for this one, or if one of these is good enough. Dark Beast Barl does have what's basically a skeleton for a head, a skull. So his eyes are very dark, basically holes. So I'm gonna color it in, see what this evolution looks like with dark eyes. I could use a thicker brush, but I'm too lazy to change it, even though it would take 5 seconds. Less than 5 seconds, actually. Okay, I think I like that. It looks more Bloodborne and creepy, but the white eyes also looked good too. On to our next Bloodborne style Pokemon. Our third Bloodborne style Pokemon has a very round skull. This one might be a little bit harder to guess. It It's one of my favorite bosses in Bloodborne. Not the cutest looking design. Can you tell what it is yet? You probably can't even tell exactly what you're even looking at. I'm not sure what to add here. Maybe something like that. Let's just add a bit thicker lines in some areas. Well, do you have a guess? Some of you might already know what Pokemon this is. For those that don't and still can't tell what they are even looking at, head, arm, legs, and it's holding something. The Pokemon is holding a hammer, and the boss, I won't even say what it's holding because this is a family-friendly video. And the Pokemon that I'm referencing does have a odd mouth I've made it even more odd because it's smiling in a pretty creepy manner. And I am going to add some teeth. Some very human teeth. Which is not great. Oh God. Is that what my sketch looked like? Well, here's the sketch that I did before the video. Okay. I like the way the sketch's head actually looks more. I think I like the idea of a thicker skull. Yeah, I think the thicker head outline looks a little bit better. Or does it? I'm just gonna keep the thicker one. And I will add some thicker lines to complement it. Definitely will add some chonky, thick fingers. Well, can you guess the boss in Pokemon? The boss in its second phase has some leathery, almost spider web-like color wings. So we will add some leathery wings. And it has some holes in the wings, like they're about to fall apart. If you even touch them. Just add a little bit smaller ones up here. And a second wing on the left side. instead of Tinkaton's hammer. This boss is holding something else. I won't say what that something else is. You can look it up if you'd like. Because like I said, this is a family-friendly... I don't know how family-friendly it is with that pony talk, but it still feels a little bit awkward to say in an ASMR video. It's a very big weapon. It's not as big in Bloodborne. But the boss that Tinkaton is based off of is Orphan of Cos. The second phase, specifically because of the wings. And I'll just add a little bit of shading to complement and match the other Pokemon that we drew today, so it doesn't feel too out of place. I know there's a little bit of more dark areas on this weapon right here. This weapon is a very grotesque and fleshy weapon, so I'm just trying to add some darkness to indicate that. Make it a little bit less so as it morphs to the edges. And this one will be called Tinkaton. And with that, all three of our Bloodborne style Pokemon have been designed and drawn. In the comments below, let me know any other Pokemon you'd like to see drawn in a Bloodborne style. I do have 3 more already sketched out for a second video, so keep your eyes out for a make sure to give it a thumbs up and maybe subscribe for more drawing ASMR videos. This is Raining Souls ASMR. Good night and sweet dreams. Or sweet nightmares. I think that's more appropriate for this video.